Back to Trades and Gains, and today we're going to talk about what whale wars are happening in Meta, Apple, NVDA, and Tesla. We're talking $25 million Meta blocks, Apple's put palooza, NVIDIA's mega straddle moves, and Tesla caught in a $90 billion feud with enough volatility to power a SpaceX rocket. Let's pull up the receipts and decode what smart money is saying about the market's next move using Investor Central Club. So Meta was one of the most aggressively bought tickers in the last week. Here's the kicker. It was institutional sized, long dated, high conviction money. Now, the first thing we saw were the December 18th, 2026 720 calls. We saw 2,000 contracts get traded with a $25.3 million premium, bought at $12.66 average, so about $1,200 a contract. And the spot, it was $684.05 when this was executed. That's not someone betting on next week's pump. That's a whale betting Meta rips into year end, likely off AI expansion or ad revenue rebound. And it doesn't stop there. We saw the June 21st 710 calls for $11.5 million. We saw the January 2026 640 calls for $3.9 million, with smaller sweeps around the $700 to $750 range. Now, why does this matter, you might be asking yourself? Well, this is stealth strength. Nobody's hyping Meta right now, but these blocks say the whales are building in silence. And our take personally is watch for Meta to lead quietly if big tech rotates higher. This could be your forgotten alpha play. Next up with our big tickers, we have Apple. The puts are loud, but the leads are even louder. It's an absolute battlefield. It's like Wall Street's version of Game of Thrones. Everyone thinks they know who should be on the throne, but nobody really agrees. Let's go ahead and talk about puts first. We saw the June 20th 210 puts, $3.15 million in premiums with 3,968 contracts with an $8 average or $800. Then we got the July 2025 207 50s bought multiple times, and we saw the January 2026 200s bought again, but with size. But then we see this, a January 2027 $200 call with a $1.4 million block, 376 contracts at a $37.15 average or a $3,700 average. That's some deep time value conviction. So what's the play here? Bulls are buying deep, long-dated upside, betting Apple eventually reclaims dominance. Bears are aggressively hedging the next 3 to 12 months, maybe on fears of iPhone sales, regulatory risk, or broader tech fatigue. Now, what's our take? When you see leap calls and put sweeps, the big boys aren't confused, they're prepared. This is hedged conviction or used for shorter term signals, CPI or earnings as examples, to trade, but keep long eyes on the prize here. Big boy NVIDIA, this isn't options flow, this is financial engineering at its finest. Let's go ahead and break down NVIDIA, aka the stock that moves SPX on its own, if we're being honest. On Friday, this thing saw some of the biggest on the tape, 20.3 million into 11/21 140 calls, and 21.5 million into the same expiry, same strike for puts. Yes, 41.8 million in a single strike straddle. Why? Implied volatility is around 45%. They're not playing direction, they're playing movement. This whale is saying, I don't know which way NVIDIA moves, but it's going to move. And I'm getting paid when it does. Other trades worth noting, we saw a $6.4 million sweep into the June 18th 140 calls, $3 million into July 135 to 150 puts, and heavy block activity around the $80 and $160 strikes for January 2026 and beyond. Now, our breakdown, this is pure options math. These aren't YOLO plays, they're volatility extraction machines. If you're in NVIDIA coming up in the next week, CPI, earnings, and even Fed commentary could cause monster strings. Expect a pop or plummet. Either way, don't sleep on your stop losses here. with Tesla, they're in the feud of the year, and they have volatility that's been greater than what we've seen in the last decade. So where do we even start? Tesla dropped 14% after the now legendary Trump-Musk beef went public. Threats about subsidies, NASA contracts, even political leverage. But the second things cooled down, Tesla bounced 3.6%, and the whales went crazy. Let's go ahead and break down the tape. 5.36 million into December 2027 150 puts. That's deep bear protection, probably against a very aggressive position in the short term. 4.9 million into January 2027 $500 calls. That's moon mode if I haven't seen it before. And 3 million into the January 2027 420 calls. Yes, 420. I'm sure Elon is just absolutely loving the irony of that. We also saw some sweeps into the 330, 350, and 390 calls for July and December. Here's what's happening. Long-term bulls are buying dips, betting Tesla regains narrative control, and bears are loading up protection for a long, painful macro ride. And get this, the implied volatility is sitting around 64 to 70% on most of this flow. That's premium pricing, and people are still buying. Now, Tesla isn't now just a stock, it's a macro risk proxy. Political headlines move it, flow confirms it. If you're trading Tesla, you're not trading charts, you're trading emotion and exposure. So let's go ahead and land this plane for y'all. Meta is bullish, quiet, confident, long-term whales are building. Apple is caught between hedging and conviction. Use this as macro sentiment gauge. NVDA is a volatility machine. This setup is for a big move, not a direction necessarily. In Tesla, we're seeing high drama, high premiums, smart money is spilt, and loading both ways on this. If you're just chasing charts and headlines, you're flying blind. This flow tells you where the big money is setting up. If you want this daily, want our breakdowns turned into trade setups, make sure you invest to Investor Central Club today. If you use the code 130, you can get your first month for 70% off, $30 a month for your first month. But hit that like button and subscribe to Trades and Gains today, and drop a comment with your favorite name from this week's tape. And by the way, want the full flow skins plus our top 3 flow trades for next week? Make sure you join our premium Substack over at Trades and Gains as well. I'll see you guys in the next video and hope you're having a great weekend.